Hello, my name is Brother Sean, and you can see from the fancy dress that I'm wearing a uniform as a lay monastic, a member of the Teo community of St. Francis, a group of ordinary men and women who have heard the call of God to surrender their hearts to love and live the simple life in divine service from their own home, but part of an extended family that meet online 3 times a day. Yes, we gather in the morning for morning prayer at 9 o'clock and for evening prayer at 5 o'clock. But then we have our beautiful vigil for peace and global unity at 9 p.m. every night, where we gather with our brothers and sisters around the world. And it's our gift to our beloved Earth Mother Gaia. This short video is a heart reflection, really, based on my own ministry as a young nursing monk, as a Reiki master in the past, and now as a monastic in divine service, who lives a life in the footsteps of the Barefoot Galilean and of course St. Francis of Assisi, where I embrace all faiths and none. Though I am a Catholic Christian, I've stepped out of my comfort zone to embrace brothers and sisters of different beliefs, because simply put, we are all children of the same loving Father, Mother God. But coming back to empowering another to self-heal, is there a right way, is there a wrong way to empower another, to take responsibility for their life? For many years as a nurse, I can only share with you that if a patient was in distress, for example, if they were given bad news by the consultant, and as the nurse in charge, it was my duty to ensure that we provided hands-on support, and that would mean comforting the patient, putting our arms around them, and allowing them know that someone was there with them, listening and praying quietly. One such memory has remained with me for, well, many, many years, and it was a dear Franciscan priest when I was the senior nurse on night duty. And this beautiful man of God must have been in his late 70s, who'd had distressing news that he had an advanced stage of cancer. And on the night shift, one particular night, I could tell he was restless, because we'd walk round the ward and we'd check on every patient every hour. And I could tell that he was restless. And he was afraid to ask for help. So I drew the curtains around his bed, and I just asked him to share with me. He was a bit apprehensive, so I explained to him that I was a nursing monk, and suddenly the barriers came down. And maybe that was his way of feeling safe to talk with another who understood part of ministry and the loneliness associated in ministry. Because when you live in an all-male community, it's very difficult to share with men how you're truly feeling. So it's stiff upper lip and get on with it, because we've been denied connecting with our feminine side. But then I noticed Father started crying. I was aware of his diagnosis, and I ensured and promised him that I would make sure that we would monitor the pain and do our very utmost to ensure he didn't die in pain. But I could tell he was worried, not about the cancer, but about whether there was a God in heaven. And I was quite surprised. So when I put my arms around him to comfort him, what I had to do was to move him down the bed slightly and get behind him and just hold him and cradle him as a mother her child. And he wept and wept and wept. So there was a physical contact, a holding of this beautiful man of God. And I just said to him, well, if there isn't a God and there isn't a place called heaven, there's one thing for sure. There's a St. Francis of Assisi, and I'm sure he'll throw his arms around you and he'll say, well done, my friend. You stayed the course and you didn't run away. Excuse me a moment. You see, being a monastic in service to God does not spare us those crazy feelings, is there God? Because we have our dark nights of the soul, where we feel that sometimes in our journey God is very far from us. But coming back to empowering another self-heal, in my nursing career we were encouraged to hold, to be tactile, and to hold a person's hand if there was anxiety and undue duress. But in spiritual healing, I was guided by Magdalena when she guided me to run the courses in Ascenic Energy Medicine, to train therapists to work with her blessed oils. And the therapy is a very beautiful therapy, where we call on the Christ light to bless our hands on the healing oils of spikenard, and as we come to place them on the feet and hands, we know that the Christ energies are flowing through, anointing the divine within that person. And that is the only time we're allowed to touch the client who comes with that therapy. If they start releasing a lot of emotions, we must stand back and allow them to release. I've seen so many therapists block another's healing process by wrapping their arms around them. We had it here in the monastery 2 years ago, where one of our community, who was a bit of a drama queen really, forgive me for being so judgmental, but the least thing she would bubble and cry about anything. But she was really highly strung, lots of psychological issues, and she hadn't dealt with them. She said she hadn't. So when one of our community came in, I thought, oh, here goes. And immediately she started crying when she was asked how she was. And instinctively, the community member went to put their arms around them, and I said, please don't. Please don't touch her, because we're empowering her to release. Because if we lock ourselves into that person and hold them, which is an instinctive reaction, what we're doing in truth, we are blocking them from empowering themselves to self-heal. So empowering another to self-heal with the Christ Magdalena energy, we administer the healing through the anointing of the feet and hands. We call on the Christ energy and the Magdalena energy, and then we stand back to allow the energies of the Supreme encapsulate that person and begin their work. To stand over the client, and it is blocking that healing process. And it's a complete reversal of what many of us have been taught. But as a nurse, instinctively you want to put your arms around another and cradle them, as a mother would a distressed child, but not in spiritual healing when you are working with the Christ Magdalena energy. Your duty of care is to the client, not yourself. So you have to put on hold your neediness to be tactile and allow the energies activate themselves within by giving the person space to empower their heart release and self-heal. I hope that has helped you. Namaste.